So instead of getting the typical Saiyans that we might expect in this part of the story, we're actually going to lay down all our cards on the Tarble. Hey folks, MasakoX here. Now that we're at the stage of adulthood with part 21 of this particular story, we can start to really see the ultimate conclusion heading towards us for the likes of this particular Saiyan, Nappa, the most loyal minion to Vegeta, who has a massive following despite his minimal participation in the story. I mean, you could probably thank Team 4-Star for that one. It was also quite humbling when at KhamereCon one year, the dub actor of Nappa's handler came to me and said, "Mr. Parsons would like to see you." And then I got thanked for DBZA myself, even though I'm just a voice actor for it. Yeah, that was a trip, wasn't it? Nappa's a good guy. So what if he were like that in the anime as well? The path to Nappa becoming a part of the Dragon Team was relatively straightforward. Instead of a long and arduous trip to redemption, Goku simply took Nappa in after his former boss had discarded him for being battered and bruised and therefore useless. He had been betrayed by the person that he had looked after since he was a young little sprog, and thusly his entire life, as he knew it, had been torn to shreds. The Son family, though, gave him some ultimate purpose, and therefore focused to improve himself, find another calling, and ultimately show Vegeta that he had made a big mistake in getting rid of him. Over the years, we've seen Nappa improve, innovate his powers, find some companionship, and even staved off the rigours of Saiyan aging for a bit. Him being the closest to testing the whole notion of Saiyans aging rapidly post age 80. With most likely some years added because of this, Nappa kept trying his best to find solace in his final years, whilst also still trying to be motivated. In the last part, we saw the conclusion of the Tournament of Power saga. Finally, we really don't like writing those bits. With King Cold and Frieza helping, thanks to a rather bizarre deal, it had meant that the Team Universe 7 was much more robust than in the anime. Nappa actually even made it to the final 5, but it was Vegeta of all people who ultimately won the tournament, much to Nappa's chagrin, but also relief. He was a team player, at last. Despite Nappa's age, he'd been able to help quite a bit, and even helped the likes of Kale from Universe 6 be able to handle her berserker powers, with his own example of course, giving her hope that she would be able to control her powers even more so than in the original, which sort of tied everything up a little too conveniently. Sadly, King Cold and Frieza were brought back to life, but King Cold kept his word and vowed not to get involved with Earth and the Dragon Team ever again, seeing as how useful and helpful they had been and could be, and the fact they got them out of their own personal pits of despair. King Cold was very grateful for that. So like we said, the Tournament of Power was finally over. Everybody could take a little pause to recuperate from the most arduous 48 minutes of their lives. Nobody had expected something seemingly so simple as a tournament to have been so rough and exhausting, not to mention harrowing. Nappa could finally take his well-earned rest alongside Cafe, which honestly, he took with open arms. He really felt quite good about himself, that he was still able to do quite a bit of good for the main team. But his age, even with the buff of his fusion with his future self, was still something that he thought about every single day. Would it be sudden, this deterioration? Or would it be gradual? I mean, frankly, every option sounded horrible to him, as well as undignifying. As Nappa mulled over this on his favourite deck chair in his city garden, Cafe was focused on both their now shared garden and her art. She was happy to be simply in the company of her beau. They didn't have to do anything exciting. They were just there together in their own little area of peace and tranquility. It did wonders for her art, having this little secluded haven within the bustling rumblings of West City. She had even managed to rope in Goten and Bua to help her with her latest art exhibition, to which she was preparing some new exhibits. Naturally, being a part of the Dragon Team, she didn't have to worry too much where to host her work. It had proven to be a huge success, the initial showcases on the street of course. There was demand, and so Capsule Corp helped her to hold the whole event free of charge. When the day came, and both she and Nappa were hosting this event in West City's most grand art hall, to her great joy, it brought more guests than just the Dragon Team. They weren't just there to be nice, there were tons of people. and Nappa even caught the likes of Vegeta eyeing up some of her work. Vegeta spotted Nappa looking at him with a sly grin, and the prince looked away embarrassed, almost tempted to walk out there and then. However, it was Cathay who walked up to him, her noticing that he looked a bit abashed, but tried not to show it. Good call. "Do you like it?" she said with curiosity, as well as a hint of kindness, trying to bring about some polite conversation from the Saiyan instead of just simply mocking him like Nappa would.
"You must understand that we Saiyans weren't very interested in such things as art. It wasn't part of our daily lives. Of course, Father had some in his castle, but it was mostly for show. To him, it felt more like a status symbol than anything else, but this is pleasing to me."
Vegeta was looking at a nice landscape of a plateau, drawn in a little impressionistic manner. Cathay smiled softly. This was the best way to get a good answer out of Vegeta, treading softly and allowing him to do the talking. "I can give you a copy to hang at your office, if you like. Or if you want this original here, I'm sure we can work something out."
"You know what, human woman? Why not?" Vegeta rarely smiled, so this felt earned.
When Cathay told her beau about this, he was delighted. She had come out of her shell so much and showed that she had so much more confidence these days. She believed in herself at last, and that made him happy. They were both happy. Nappa was also elated that Cathay had still managed to progress and develop her art. It was inspiring to him. Not so long ago, he saw her painting a portrait of Android 18 with Marin, so it's not like she didn't have stuff to do. She just kept on painting. Age be damned. But what about him, though? Could he be just as highly convicted? Naturally, he was still a warrior at heart, but he was getting old. But you know what? Being old wasn't so bad as some Saiyans had feared. He knew that back in the day, when he was still on planet Vegeta, being old almost felt like a disgrace, just dying from old age and not in battle. And until lately, his mindset had remained the same. He had never seen any old Saiyans in his day. He wondered where they went. Did they go off to die in peace, or did they? I mean, it was too much to think about right now. Would he, though, having seen as much action as he did in the past, way more than any other Saiyan in history, simply wither away into dust? No. Having the companionship of Cathay and his friends with him for the journey into his dotage? No. This wasn't feeling so bad. I mean, after all, seeing those all-powerful beings during the tournament and still being able to go toe-to-toe with some of them made him slowly realise that maybe, just maybe, sometimes it can be important to see how many battles you had survived instead of just perishing in one. Would he welcome an opportunity for an honourable death? I mean, of course, he's a Saiyan. But right now, he didn't feel like it would be a waste if the tournament was his last hurrah. He could be content with seeing out his days in peace and quiet right now. And of course, all the surviving Saiyans have made it to the tournament in one piece. They all did good. So his surprise got even bigger, I might say, when you're being invited to one of Bulma and Yamcha's many parties with Cathay, and something happens. He witnessed a slightly larger Saiyan pod slowly descending from the sky. Nappa looked at Gohan and quickly did the count. Were they expecting another Saiyan to arrive? Wait, there were more Saiyans?
Well, let's see. I'm here. Kakarot's over there. Vegeta, you're here? Oh, yeah, of course. I hear ya. Gohan, Goten, Pan. So, who on earth?
Goten blushed. Maybe it's future Bulla visiting us from Universe 6. Bulma shoved Goten in the side. Get your mind out of the gutter. I don't care if it's a future version of me. Bulla, I didn't say anything. Your face did all the talking. As this teenage angst was going on, Kami pondered for a moment.
I think she would need the help of an angel to do that, getting to this universe. No? This is possibly from our own neck of the woods. Whoever this is, if he tries anything funny, I'll...
But much to their surprise, the pod gently landed instead of crashing into the dirt, and two short characters came out from the vessel. One of them was a friendly-looking but very short grey alien with a huge round head, while the other one, at first, Nappa thought it was Kaba, indeed from Universe 6, but there was no Vardos or Champ or anyone else from there. Then he looked again, him squinting over his reading glasses. But after a while, himself and Vegeta shouted almost at once,
Tarble!
Hello, everyone! All gazes then whipped around to look at Nappa and Vegeta. there was another Saiyan. And not only that, but this one was almost as cordial as the Universe 6 one. And it was somebody whom these two elder statesmen seemed to have recognized. "Good to see you, brother," said Tarble with a respectful tone. "You look sharp. I heard about what you did in the tournament, and I'm glad that those rumors of you perishing as a bad guy were only rumors." A streak of sweat slowly descended down Vegeta's famously large forehead, and he failed to say anything, despite this very amiable greeting. "Brother? You have a brother, Vegeta?" Goku looked surprised.
Yeah, it's a long story,"
the prince was finally able to stammer.
Oh, so your brother's kind of like Raditz was to me. Opposite, right? Raditz was mean, and Tarble seems pretty nice. Well, at least right now.
Vegeta looked troubled. Nappa, though, let out a hearty laugh and just hugged Tarble.
"Well, Prince Tarble, it's so good to see you. I didn't think you'd made it when you get carted off to another planet. Glad to see you came through. Say, who's your little companion there?"
"Oh, this is Gure, my wife." Nappa's eyes widened with delight.
"Oh, you got yourself a wife. Good on you, pal. It's so nice to meet you, Gure."
Nappa tried not to look surprised, but shook Gure's hand with respect and care. She's small. And so the group spent the rest of the party catching up with Tarble, Bulma not seeming to mind that these two had stolen her thunder, with her also being intrigued by this brand new Saiyan, and very relieved to see that this one was very nice and amiable. They told him about their adventures, and Nappa explained the newcomer's backstory in return, onto how he was sent away to a remote planet. They also showed him various Saiyan forms, which greatly shocked Tarble. He had no idea of the potential of his own people. I never knew we could do that." "So, other than connecting with your brother, what brings you here, Tarble?" Gohan decided to encourage the Saiyan to tell them more. "Well, you see, our Saiyan colony needs your help. I heard that you were quite formidable, brother." Vegeta's eyes lit up.
"Wait, Saiyan colony? There's more Saiyans that survived?"
Tarble looked surprised by their reactions. "Yeah, a lot did. It took years for us to find each other, though. I mean, there are some half-Saiyans as well, but mostly our populace consists of low-class Saiyans or non-combatants, so we slipped under the radar. And after Planet Vegeta was destroyed, they decided to lay low. I spent the last few years finding more of them, especially since Frieza and his father were gone." Vegeta glared at Nappa and Goku. Goku then broke the silence.
So, I hate to break it to you, but...
"Oh, we know. It's not your fault. You did what you could to keep Universe 7 safe. The greater good and whatnot. And besides, those two haven't caused us problems yet, but some space goons are. If you could just help us out with those?" Vegeta's eyes retreated, and then were blessed with a scowl.
Pathetic. They may as well have died in the explosion. What a sad end to the Saiyan race.
"I knew you would say that, brother. But the class system was put there for a reason."
I hate to break it to you, kid, but Kakarot here might be the strongest of all, not me. And he started out as a low-class warrior. Nappa, a mid-class. And I'm still catching up to him. Classes are an excuse to keep your potential down. I realize that."
Tarble looked flabbergasted. "But we can't fight. We really can't."
"So instead of fighting your battles for you, we will teach your people how to defend. How does that sound instead?"
There was fire and determination in Vegeta's eyes. Nappa and Goku also couldn't hide the fact that they were kind of proud of Vegeta. "You think you can do that?"
You're kidding, right? These two over there are always wanting to try and test someone in battle, or to train someone.
Vegeta was pointing at Nappa and Goku again, but Tarble was visibly scared, but bowed before them. That would be most agreeable. Do you have a spacecraft to come?"
No, but once you get back to your planet, we won't be far behind. Trust us."
Goku smirked at him. "Another form or technique, perhaps?"
Something like that.
And so, Tarble and Gure bid their farewells to everyone and decided to head back for their planet post-haste. Chi-Chi, though, wasn't so keen on letting Goku go, but Cathay had managed to convince her to let them just have their fun. This was peacetime, and after all, she was looking for a model for a new painting. Chi-Chi fitting the bill, and that made her blush. Oh my. And Nappa smiled to himself. Training. That was a nice thing that an old-timer could do, no problem. So, when they felt that Tarble had landed somewhere and stayed there, Goku used his instant transmission to take himself, Vegeta, Nappa, Kami and Gohan with him. And while they were pretty optimistic, the colony wasn't really a colony. It was mostly built out of ship containers and derelict vessels. Tarble was one of the most menacing inhabitants of the compound. Ooh, this was going to take a while. Kami's attention was also taken by the fact that they weren't alone. It wasn't just Saiyans here. They were looking at 3 Namekians as well. So it was true. His kind was on more planets than just Earth and Namek. Well, they'll have to help these people too. And it might not be as easy as they anticipated. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you folks think? What do you make of this brand new colony of Saiyans and Namekians? Would there be more interest from other troublemakers to cause trouble for Tarble? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!